Oh, shit, we are live. No, never mind.
Here we go.
It is Pebble Beach Week. We've got, finally, for the first time in 6 months, Rory and Scottie on the course together. Fairway to Heaven. We're live breaking down the AT&T Pro-Am in 30 seconds. And a very good evening, everybody. Welcome all to Fairway to Heaven right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, as we are every Tuesday night, 6 p.m., breaking down the weekly DFS and gambling for the weekly tournament on the PGA Tour this week in Pebble Beach. But before we get started, please make sure, whether you're watching live or on replay, you hit the like button, you hit the share button, and you hit the subscribe button wherever you are and wherever it is on your screen. Please do that. It's free to do. Does not cost a thing to support local content creators. And if you're watching live right now, we have a pretty fun little poll question because I love Pebble Beach. I think it's one of my favorite golf courses in America. Never played there, but I'm asking this question. Does Pebble Beach belong in the top 5 golf courses in America? Yes, no, maybe in the top 10 is kind of option 3. So make sure you vote on the poll question right now. The first 2 votes are saying absolutely. It is a top 5 golf course in America. I'm Phil Stifle. We've got Jason Sullivan, my main man, with Soldier Steve back from his week off last week. Good evening, gentlemen. And are you excited for the first elevated event of the year?
I'm pumped for it. It's funny because when you said the 6-month thing, I was wondering where you're going to go with that.
Yeah.
First time in 6 months, I'm like, what's the first time? Okay, Rory and Scottie together. I like it.
I don't know. I don't even want to know where your mind was going to go with the first time.
I don't know. I also was laughing when you started the intro because I like your little caption below.
Oh,
good stuff right there.
Steven hasn't commented on that, Steve.
I didn't see it.
I just saw it. I would never even seen it. Dang it.
Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, so it
Nicely
is Pebble
done.
Beach Week, Steve. I don't even remember who I heard. I've listened to like 3 or 4 podcasts, but I heard somebody say it. It is the first time, if you don't count the Ryder Cup, the first time since the Tour Championship that Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy have teed it up in the same event. So maybe this is the week that the PGA Tour season officially begins, Steve.
Maybe. I didn't think of it that way. I like that. I like that. You know, it's kind of those are the two. 1 and 2 of golf right now. That didn't even dawn on me. It was more that like what you started with, that the Euros, the first, these we're seeing Rory, we're seeing Fleetwood, we're seeing Shane for the first time. There's some guys who have been playing really well who now, because this is a signature event, get their opportunity to elevate their status for the season. And this is the first signature event, but it's the 3 out of the next 4 events are signature events. So the no cut will get old, but for the first time, when, like you said, we got Rory and Scottie going up to, face to face, you get them for 4 rounds. So you got to be excited for that.
Yeah, you got to. I got to bring up, before we get into it, we got to talk last week's Waste Management. Obviously, Chris Gotterup with the win over Hideki in the playoff, which was crazy. But I don't even think that's the biggest story. I think still the biggest story from last week is Scottie Scheffler shooting 2 over, being 10 shots back outside the top 100. I texted our group chat that after round 1, he was still only 9.5 to 1 to win, being 10 shots back. And guess what? He almost won that event. Like, again, is there anything in the world that Scottie Scheffler can't do? Is there any event that Scottie Scheffler can't or shouldn't win?
It was funny because I'm typically a fade Scottie guy when he's so expensive. And I was really like, I said 60% online, but I ended up going like 70%. And I was freaking out after the first round. I'm like, my week's already shot. And then all of a sudden, we shoot like 8 under in round 2. Like, he is just so damn good. It's not even funny. Like, his floor, I was talking to somebody today. his floor right now legitimately is a top 5. Like that's worst case scenario. He's finishing top 5.
You're not crazy for saying that. Not at all. No.
When was the last time he was not top 10?
I can tell you that.
Players last year, 24.
Yeah, last year at the Waste Management,
24th?
right?
Was it Players?
So coming in on a year.
20th. The Arnold Palmer was 11th last year. So March of last year was the last time he wasn't in the top 10. He had that remember last year, he had that 3-week stretch last year, the Waste Management 25th, 3rd at the Genesis, but then 11th and 20th. We're like 3 weeks out of 4 that he didn't finish in the top 10. Like, what's wrong with Scottie Scheffler? He's broken. And then he goes on a run, Steve. Like, it's like, what? It almost makes golf boring to an extent, knowing that he is always lurking to win an event.
But you know what? Imagine if we would have got a 3 golfer playoff of Scottie, Gotterup, and Decky going into the most boring Super Bowl we've had in quite some time. The Waste Management. So for those of you who want to talk down on golf and everything, it was better than the Super Bowl a few days ago. So it was exciting stuff to see what he did, because he pretty much gave everyone, a head start. And Siwoo did kind of the same thing that Scottie did on Friday. So this is exciting to see all these guys now on a they're only getting 2 days now of the amateurs. It's going to be long rounds, but it's just going to be the big boys Saturday and Sunday. So I'm excited about this one this week.
Go ahead.
You know what I was going to say too, to kind of piggyback off of what you just said. It's like, it was exciting down the stretch. Like having Scottie in there would obviously have made it even more exciting. But like, I don't know if I said this on the show last week, but I was thinking this. Like, when you talk about guys like that are just absolute killers on the tour, like they get a lead, they're not giving it up. Right now, to me, Scottie obviously first. I think Gotterup's probably second, and I think Hideki's probably third. Like when you get a guy like that just gets a lead and they just don't give it up, it's like those 3 guys are all that kind of killer. It's like maybe Hideki's not there every week, but when he's there, he doesn't choke usually. So.
We say that, Scottie's unstoppable. We talk about whether it's good for the game to have one player that dominant or not. There's lots of angles you could take. But what do you think the mental, side of golf is for the rest of the tour players when they go to tee it up? Do they look, is this a Scottie week or not? Like, do you think that Scottie, like going up against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, you're like, okay, we have a real tough chance ahead of us. Do you think that Scottie in the field or not really affects the mental preparation for golfers?
I think more maybe on Thursday and Friday if you're paired with him, because you're wanting to keep up with him. I think if you've already, if it's an event where there's a cut line, I think just making the cut for a lot of these guys is already a mental hurdle in its own. So I don't think they're worried about Scottie so much, and he's usually up there already. So they're kind of having to play catch up. So they're kind of having to play a kind of free golf in a sense, if you know what I mean. They're kind of taking chances and everything like that. But I think more if you're paired in his wave, or you're paired in a group right before him, after him, where you're hearing the crowd, because the crowds are the fans, they're going to be there. So now you're feeling the pressure of that as well. So I think those sort of scenarios is what gets to golfers.
Jason?
Yeah, I agree. I compare it to like a Tiger effect a little bit. I think he's not on that level, obviously, but like it's the same thing. Like you can't tell me Tiger gaining on you doesn't have any, bearing on how you play. It does. And I think the same thing with Scottie too. It's like you see Scottie, I mean, I'm sure each day he's gaining a little bit more. He went like 8 under, I think, on Friday. Saturday he's like top 15. All of a sudden he's getting up to like top 10, top 5, and you can't tell me that those guys at the top aren't like, here he comes.
Here he comes. All right. Well, obviously we've got a big week this week. We are at Pebble Beach for the Pro-Am. It's the last time for a while that we'll have to see a course rotation Monday and Thursday and Friday. It used to be a 3-day rotation. They got rid of the one course, but you still got Spyglass this week, on Thursday and Friday, that little rotation there. Jason, let's start with you here. Let's focus mainly on Pebble Beach, because that's obviously where these golfers, there is a no-cut event here. the Pro-Am, the amateurs are only playing the first 2 days over on the Spyglass side of things. What are the golfers going to face at Pebble Beach, and why I think it's such a great course? What's the challenges there?
Obviously, the weather. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad this week. Wind and weather, I would say, is the biggest challenge. Super short course, 6,900, 89 yards, par 72. POA greens, that's the other tricky part. Super small greens, super difficult to putt on. So you're going to have to be able to knock down some putts this week. 116 bunkers on the course. One water hazard, the ocean. So you don't want to hit it there.
There's a little thing called the Pacific Ocean. That's the water hazard,
Like I said, super difficult greens, smallest greens on tour. So like you're gonna have to not only hit greens, but your around the green game is gonna be. I heard so many people say it's not gonna matter this week. I think it is gonna matter quite a bit. And then you're also gonna have to putt with these tricky greens, these POA greens. Obviously, Spyglass is a lot easier. 7,071 yards, par 72, POA greens, 62 bunkers, water on 4 holes, but just a lot easier golf course. So obviously, Pebble Beach is the challenge this week, and it'll be interesting to see if any weather kicks up at all.
Yeah, I mean, anything along the coast, it's always going to be an issue, right? Any system can just blow in off the shore at any moment. We see, what is it, hole 7 or whatever, the short par 3 that goes right up against the water. We've seen videos of Tony Finau hitting driver there before in practice rounds because of how the weather at like a moment's notice can just pick up. Steve, what do you got on Pebble Beach? What are your thoughts of this legendary golf course?
I think with the change of the format of how they're doing it is very interesting that they're talking about these first 2 rounds they're going to be long rounds. They're talking 6-hour rounds. I that's going to weigh on some guys who like a style of a pace of play and everything. So I think when the lineups come out, are the pairings and the groupings and the tee times, I think you really got to look at different things like who's paired in front of who's going to be able to play their style of golf, different things like that. The Euros, we talked about Fleetwood and Shane and Rory. Those guys kind of have, I feel like, an advantage in a week like this where people are going to shy away from, we haven't seen them yet, where you got to feel comfortable with this. Jason said there's one water hazard, and it is a big one out there. Those guys are going to be comfortable.
Pacific,
if weather does pick up, those guys, even a guy like Bobby Mack, there's plenty of guys who are going to be able to adjust to that scenario. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, golf course that these guys, and there are some guys who they play better in these sort of, short positional golf course, where there's more strategy than there is, power or, anything else, if you got to avoid trees and, obstacles like that, there's a lot to this course where any sort of style golfer can win. Look at Rory last year. So,
it's funny because I got 2 things I want to add to that, because Jordan Spieth put Pebble Beach years ago very, very well, in my opinion. Who's going to putt the best that knows how to throw darts? Because you got to dart the green and then make your putt. The thing is, everyone always talks about how distance doesn't matter on this course, but then you go out and see what Rory did last year, leading the tournament, in driving distance onto shooting, what was it, 19 or 21 under. Like, for as crazy as this event can be, the scores keep going up, and the type of winner keeps changing from approach to sometimes now distance actually matters. And I find that you don't necessarily need to just zone in on one guy, whether it's driving distance or accuracy. Both could win as long as they're hitting those darts to the green with their second shot.
Well, I think that Rory kind of did what Bryson tries to do on courses, just break the course. Yeah. You say it's a plotter's course. Okay, I'll drive everybody. Yeah, that's what he did last year. He just basically broke the course. So it'll be interesting to see if guys
do Wyndham too.
Yeah,
he won.
Rory going to do it again? Same thing. I mean, I would see. I don't see why not.
All right, well, let's get to it. Obviously, like we said, we got Scottie versus Rory, but this is also the first time that we're seeing Tommy Fleetwood on the PGA Tour. your defending tour champion. And everyone's got high expectations for Tommy Fleetwood because of him getting the monkey off his back. And I don't think winning the tour championship does that personally, but that's what a lot of people say. Scottie's seen a slight price decrease. He went 3 weeks so far. He's gone 14-2 up to 14-5. This week is down to 14 in a no-cut event. I think that makes the job of DFS even easier because it is a no-cut event. Playing a 14K Scottie Scheffler is a little easier in a no-cut event. So let's start at the top. Jason, you're the play or don't play Scottie. What are you doing with Scottie this week?
I think I'm fading him, and that's terrifying because of what you just said. I mean, like being a no-cut event, obviously everybody's going to get 4 rounds. I don't like, obviously his price, but I don't like this range at all. I like starting in the 9Ks this week, and I think I'm going to do that in a lot. I think there's guys that this isn't like the ultimate Scottie Scheffler course. I think he gets neutralized a little bit because his driver, I mean, being so short, like the driver kind of gets taken away a little bit, and the long approach shots get taken away a little bit. So I don't think he's the best play this week. Obviously, if anybody plays him, he's probably going to finish top 10, probably top 8. But at the same time, I just feel like the lineups are a lot better if you go more balanced. So I'm skipping this range totally.
I don't think it's crazy. Steven, what do you think of this range? Because real quick, I just want to throw this out there. First Tommy Fleetwood, it's his first time on tour this year, but he did in the fall have a great run after the tour championship on the DP World Tour with a first, a second, a third. Rory also had a very good, fall swing on the on the DP Tour with a win and a couple top 3s and stuff like that. And obviously they're also playing, it's not the same, but they are playing the what's it called? The indoor thingy. I'm forgetting what TGL. Rory's obviously playing TGL. So he's got some, work in, so to speak, competitively. Are you fading Scottie the entire range, or are you sticking to one of these guys?
I'm not opposed. Like I'm going to have a little bit of Scottie because I just knowing that you get the rounds, you can work in some, even high 6K guys, low 6K guys. If you work in 2 of those, I have a lineup where you can work in Ludwig at 8.3K. So there's some combinations you can do. If you're going to do it, I feel like this is the week to do it because there is no cut. I personally, I feel like Tommy is going to be that guy who people are either going to completely avoid for whatever reason because they're going to go down to Rory because he's that much cheaper than Scottie, or they're going to go to Hovland because they're looking at his current form. You look at Siwoo, his current form. Hideki, you got to think he wants some revenge, and he's going to go out there. I can't foresee him with a WD. I feel like, he's playing some pretty good golf right now. Rose, you saw what he did. He skipped. He stayed in California. So you could go all the way down to Henley before you actually want to play somebody. And I just feel like Tommy's going to be that guy who, if you just want to go different, and I don't know exactly what his ownership is, but I just feel like it's going to be pretty low for all those reasons. I feel like Tommy, if you want to go in that direction of just having that pivot, I feel like he's the guy to go to.
That's interesting. I like that. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them, honestly. Like, is there an argument to be made not to play Rory or Tommy Fleetwood this week? Not really. Course history, experience. This is an elevated event. This is a special event. It's Pebble Beach. Anybody can play. Anybody can win this week. But I agree with Jason. Like, I think I'll be like you, Steve. I might have a slight sprinkle on Scottie just to have at least. I need at least one lineup with the potential winner there in Scottie. But I think I can get
a little dabble, do you?
A little dabba-do, little yabba-dabba-do. But I think the 9K range is really intriguing because you've got Hideki, who just collapsed, who has performed well at Pebble Beach. You've got Chris Gotterup, who first, Justin Rose a couple weeks ago wins, gets into the top 5. Now Chris Gotterup, I think he's 5th or 6th in the official golf rankings now. Gotterup's won like 3 times in the last 3 minutes. I think he just won again 5 seconds ago. You got Siwoo Kim, who is playing some of the best golf ever. You got Justin Rose coming off, a couple weeks off after his first win. There is so much quality golf in the 9K range that I don't think any one guy is going to dominate the ownership, where I think you can get some really good value with any of those guys. You could start your lineup with Gotterup and Henley, or Rose and Henley, or Siwoo and Gotterup, and not be really setting yourself, back by ownership percentage a little bit.
I think that's the point too. I think you could start with two of these guys, like any of those two guys that you just mentioned, any combination of those guys. And I think it's so funny because we always talk about narratives with DFS, and I think the only thing that takes you off of really any of these guys is narratives. Hideki collapsed last week. Do you trust to go back to him again? Gotterup's won 2 of the last 3 events. Can he win 3 of 4? I don't know. Probably not. Siwoo, are the wheels going to fall off at some point? There's all these question marks with all these people, but it's all narratives. There's no on paper, this range is loaded. Hovland looks like a really good play. I mean, a lot of these guys have really good course history too. Siwoo does. Hovland does. I mean, Hovland's my favorite in this range. I know Steve will be pumped about that, but I just think he's set up so perfect for this. I think he's got 7 top 25s in a row. Quietly playing really good golf, and I think he sets up really good for this course.
I'll say this: if you play Scottie at 14K, that leaves you a 7,200 for your other 5. I just did Siwoo Kim and Chris Gotterup just out of randomness. I picked those 2. You have 7,800 for your other 4. That's a massive difference of $600 average left. That means you're playing the Naps and the Sepp Strakas versus the Sam Stevens, the Aaron Rise, and C. Takalas. Not that they're bad plays, but they're better plays. You know what I mean? So I think the thing is to play, more 9K guys than Scottie. I want to get both your opinions. Chris Gotterup, like you said, Jason, can he win a 3rd time? In a short period of time, maybe. But we're talking DFS, as a good play. But Hideki, I want to get more into this Hideki bounce back. It does not scare me that Hideki collapsed, because he's one of the best golfers of the last 25 years. So it does not bother me. Jason, where are your thoughts on Gotterup versus Hideki in those 2 specific scenarios?
I don't like the guy that finishes 2nd in a tournament. That's right there. I don't like going back to that guy the next week. You're right. Hideki's different. He's got that killer instinct. Like you said, these guys don't have to win. Right. I mean, if they get a top 5, if Gotterup comes out and finishes 5th, I mean, that's a really good week again. So you don't need them to win.
Are you more scared of the collapser, or more scared off by the guy that just wins 2 out of 3 weeks?
It's hard. It's hard because
it's a very difficult question.
I was going to say originally I was more afraid of the collapser, but then I look at a guy like Justin Rose, who I know you didn't ask that question, but did he peak? Was that as good as he's going to play? Can he come back and play that good again? Mm-hmm. I don't know. So
Steven,
that was some special good though. I don't expect him to be that good.
Right.
But I love the fact that he took a week off.
Right.
Yeah. He stayed in California. He did whatever he had to do. I mean, he had to continue. Hey, whatever was working. Hey, I need to continue going out there and playing a few rounds on my own to keep this up. So if I had to answer the question, I would say the collapser. I feel because I feel they're going to risk a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I feel that's when, if it doesn't work, that's where the wheels start to fall off, where, it didn't work last week. I switched things up, or I'm taking chances here. It's not working, to where if you won, and now, kind of in this scenario where we're talking about Gotterup versus Hideki, no cut, I rather have the guy who is comfortable with his game and kind of has a deadly weapon right now with his driver in a guy like Gotterup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this range, the 9K range, we didn't even mention really Russell Henley. And Russell Henley's a top 5 golfer in the world, not the longest hitter. So he is not this. It's not like it's a 7,800 yard course that kind of makes it trickier for Russell Henley to plot around. This is a course that Russell Henley can play well in. I don't think from 9K, Chris Gotterup straight up to Scottie Scheffler, there is not one player you have to fade because of course history or bad. If honestly, Hideki might be the guy you fade out of them all, because why did Hideki collapse last week? He collapsed because eventually he was bad off the tee, for 4 straight rounds. And it never, I think in round 4, was it round 3 or round 4? He didn't hit one fairway, not one. And eventually it caught up with him on the first playoff hole when he dunks, the ball in the water. he had a lot of time to figure out what was going wrong, and he didn't get it right. So maybe, if anything, that's the only argument I can make to fade one of those guys from 9K up to the top.
And it's kind of like what I was saying, too. It's like there's the only reasons to not play these guys is all narrative. There's no data. Like, Scotty's you say this is an approach course. Scotty's a great approach player, maybe the best approach player in the world, or one of them. It's just like they're all narratives. Like, any reason to not play any of these guys, like you said, is just a narrative. I think they did a really good job with pricing this week to make you think of these things. But like you said, I mean, like, really above 9K, if you guys were like, yeah, I like so-and-so above 9K, there's nothing I could say that to argue.
Just so you guys know, just for the record, my biggest plays are going to come in the 9K and above, are going to come from Siwoo Kim and Russell Henley. They're going to be my top two guys in that range that are clicked. I just want that out there and on the record. They will be my top plays. Anyway, we can get to the 8K range because I think there's one name already mentioned by Steven that I'm absolutely in love with for a DFS purpose. I actually have room for one more bet. I'm not sure if he'll be the bet or not. I don't even know what his odds are, and that's Bobby Mack at 8,200. But I think the 8K range, you've got Matthew Fitzpatrick, great price. Maverick McNeely being priced so high might scare some people away. Jason Day is just perfect for this week and everything. Steven, what do you think of the 8K range? What do you like? Where will you go there?
I'll save Bobby Mack for you because I'm with you there.
I love Bobby Mack at all times. You know what I mean? Bobby Mack. So this is what I'll say on Bobby Mack, Steve. Then you can put whatever else you want on him.
Yeah,
is that we've seen Justin Rose with his win climbing to the top 5. We've seen Chris Gotterup with his 2 wins climbing to the top 5. Bobby Mack's like 8th or 9th, I think, in the World Golf Rankings. A win for him bumps him up into that elite category, and I could easily see Bobby Mack getting bumped up into that elite category with a win at a signature event like this.
And I love him on coastal sort of links.
Keep the ball down and out of the wind.
Yep, where he's another guy like Shane, who is I love in the 7K. We'll get to him later, but Jason talked about how I'm pretty sure it's Jason talked about around the green play is important this week, and Bobby Mack, he fits that mold of golfer. A guy who I really only like to play if I know I have 4 rounds of him, because that's all how I know I can tolerate him. Patrick Cantlay. Going back to 2013, he's played here 9 times and 5 of them are top 11, or better. So he has the iron game to compete here. He's 4 rounds guaranteed. I feel like as safe a play to play in DFS. Cali guy, he's out there, comfortable. And then Ludwig. I feel like people are going to shy away from him because they're going to look and see a WD and a cut next to his, last 2 outings. And that's just going to shy people away. But at 8,300, how you're not going to see him at that price, again. And I feel like you're going to get 4 rounds of him. I can't imagine he's going to, WD. And he's withdrawn here before. I think that was last year.
Yeah.
But he got the solo second in 2004. So I just think that if you can get a lineup of him and Scotty and 6K guys, that's the way to go. So those are some of the names in AK.
He's a really good fit on this course too. Like Ludwig's biggest weakness is his long irons. There's no long iron play at this course.
You don't need
He's
him.
really good with the wedges, which is that's his strength. So I like that play too. I want to get there, and I'm going to try to get there, I think. But yeah, I think you made up some good points there.
I'm not there on Cantlay or Ludwig. I just can't. I just think that there's too many other better, less, unsure things. Like everything you said is right, but Patrick Cantlay's got 4 or 5 top 11s at AT&T before in the past. I think where they got so many prices right, I think it's time for us to realize that maybe Patrick Cantlay isn't in that upper echelon anymore of golfers. I just don't like. I've always been a Cantlay guy. I've bet him more times than I can count. I overexpose myself to him on my player pool way more over the last 6 years than most golfers. And I just don't think he's there anymore. I don't think he's a major contender anymore. And a signature event is almost like a major. I just don't see it. Ludwig, you can convince me that maybe eventually Ludwig turns it around, but I think we're past prime Patrick Cantlay at this point.
Is there a less likable guy than Patrick Cantlay on the tour?
Yeah,
maybe,
I mean,
maybe Morikawa would be
in
the one.
August.
I mean, the rest of them would be
August.
on Liv, like Phil Mickelson. You know what I mean? You know,
True.
he'd be
Yeah,
in
but
that category. Liv would be perfect for Patrick Cantlay, honestly.
To kind of go off of what you were saying about his price, I thought they always get him and Morikawa wrong, I think, pricing wise, or they have for like the past year, right? I think they got Morikawa right, and I agree with you. Cantlay should not be pricing in the 8Ks anymore.
No, he sure. I think in an elevated, deep field like this, he is not an 8K guy anymore. I would feel more comfortable with a Jake Knapp in the 8K, a Sepp Straka in the 8K. Those guys are actually playing really good golf. He's not.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, I can easily fade Patrick Cantlay this week. And that means he's going to go out and win, obviously, because I said that. But, you know.
6-hour Thursday and Friday rounds. That is Patrick Cantlay golf. He is going to love Thursday and Fridays rounds. That's his style, you know?
Jason, what do you got in the 8K range?
It's hard to argue with Day. I mean, just 10 years of more than 10 years of success here. I mean, it's him for me. I
don't know what his ownership's going to be, but I almost don't care what Jason Day's ownership's going to be.
Yeah, I don't either. This is a tricky range for me because I like a lot of guys in this range too. I think Fitz is probably my favorite. I think he showed a lot last week. Obviously, kind of faltered a little bit after the first round, but I like him a lot this week. Burns is interesting to me as well. I think it seems like this would be a course that he would fit really well at. Obviously, he hasn't been that great this year so far, but I like that he's finished 10th and 22nd the past 2 years. And then the other one's Berger for me. He's struggled around the greens, but he's been awesome with his approach shots. And I think that this is a course that's kind of tailor-made for Berger when he's rolling.
You know, it's funny. When I saw this range, the first thing I did was star Jason Day. The second thing I did was star Sam Burns. And I want to get it. Maybe Sam Burns is a play because Sam Burns gets ignored because of his recent form. You know, maybe that's something to that. I don't know, but I think you're right on Day and Berger. I like to look back at who I bet last year at each event, and I bet Sam Burns and I bet Daniel Berger last year at this event. Obviously, they didn't work out for me because they didn't win it, but I think you can make an argument for those two guys.
Cam Young, that price is something on Cam Young.
Yeah, there's some interesting prices floating around there. Cam Young at 8,100. I think that's interesting. Ben Griffin's in this range. We've ignored him. Thor is getting massive respect being priced up here. He is. I mean, just think about that. You know, he's getting a better price than Bobby Mack, who
Straka, he's been a proven winner.
Yeah, I mean, Thor's been playing some great golf.
Yeah,
I can argue that he deserves a price higher than Patrick Cantlay. But there's some mad respect for Thor in this range.
I'm just not sure this is the kind of course for him.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I'm also not sure if an elevated event is the event I'm ready to make a commitment to Thor, if that's so to speak, if that makes sense. I think the 7K is where the mispriced guys are, mainly Jake Knapp at 7,900 and Sepp Straka at 7,700, both guys that could win this event. Steve, what do you think of the 7K range? At least the top half of it.
I think Knapp got priced where he is because of this being, known, stereotypically as a, not a non-driver course, off the tee where, you don't have to have power, you don't, and that's where he, has that advantage, off the tee. And so I feel like you're right though, where there's now a blueprint for this course like last year because of Rory for those guys who want to go out there and try to overpower a course, So, I'm with you there on that. I love Lowry. 100%. Got second last year here, right behind his BFF. He was playing some decent golf over in the in Dubai. Good with his irons, and another player where the weather, if there be any, isn't going to affect his play. And then another guy who, if he can lock in and not withdraw, he's another guy, Aaron Rai, where, positional, strategic golfer who is going to use his iron, going to use his wedge game. Those are really the only two I like in the 7K. I'm not a big fan.
I think Aaron Rai is a
7K.
I think Aaron Rai is a great DFS play. I do. I think he'll be owned low enough that I think he'll be a great play. Have we got information yet, Jason, on JJ Spawn and why he withdrew last week? Because I think in theory, JJ Spawn would be perfect this week.
Yes.
But I am so scared of him because he has not said one iota, to my knowledge, on why he withdrew.
It's funny that you just said that after Rye, too, because I think they're very similar, other than Spawn can putt and Rye cannot putt. But
Spawn's won a major golf tournament.
Yeah. But I don't think their games
another
are
big
that
difference right there.
I don't think their games are that much different, really, to be honest with you.
Right.
But Rye, total driving on short courses, number one. So I like him a lot this week, too. I agree with that one. Sam Stevens, hard to argue. Like,
I love it.
Dude's just been awesome lately. Like, it's hard to argue with how he's done. I think he's played here like once or twice too and did okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken. And then there's other guys that like just the current form guys. Like Ryan Gerard has been awesome. Seems like he's kind of underpriced. Pearson Cooney's another one. Like these guys are just rolling, and it's like, do you jump off before it's time to jump off, or do you just keep rolling until the wheels fall off these guys? Gerard especially is way too low, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you skipped one big name. I mean, he's played here before. Sahith Theegala as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing great. He's got an 8th, a 7th, and an 8th at the Farmers Amex, and he's 31st Sony, 18th last week. He, didn't do well here last year. He finished 53rd. But the one thing, if you look at Sahith Theegala, 53rd last year, 20th the year before that, and in 2022, I don't think it was a elevated event back that point. He had a 65th. But last year, his 53rd performance or 53rd place finish, he still gained almost 5 strokes putting the ball last year. And you got to be, what is it? Throw a dart and putt. He's throwing darts this year, and he knows how to putt on POA greens. So Sahith Theegala, another reason you could draw, lines, to make him a good play. I mean, hell, last I checked, he was 140-1 to win the event. I mean, that's not a great bet, but it's not an awful bet. I mean, Theegala can move the ball around this course.
I think Harry Hall on this course too. Like you talk about the putting being so difficult, he's probably the best putter in the field, or one of the best putters in the field.
He's always one of the best putters.
A dude that just makes tons of birdies. So Harry Hall is interesting at 75 too.
He's actually in the last 36 rounds played. He is the number 1 putter in the field. Can you guess the rest of the top 5? Real quick, in the last 36 rounds, can you guess the top 5?
Burns.
Nope, he's 6th.
McCarthy.
Denny.
Yeah.
Denny McCarthy is 5th. So it's Harry Hall 1, McCarthy 5, Rory 4th, Bobby Mack 3rd,
Scottie,
and Cam Young.
Oh, Cam Young.
Number 2,
geez, really?
Over the last 36 rounds in this field. We're not talking POA. We're just talking general putting stats. I'm shocked that Cam Young's been putting the ball that well. Kind of makes me want to play Cam Young a little bit more now, knowing that he's hot lately with the putter.
He had pretty bad course history, Cam Young.
He's not a great play this week, just plain and simple. But
this is weird.
For the reasons that you like Theegala, do you like Akshay?
Love Akshay. Akshay will be in lineups this week. I don't know about Akshay. I think so. They're both at 7,300. Like every lineup, I'm going to get to pick 4 of building a lineup, and I'm going to click either one or the other in so many lineups and try to, balance it out that way. I love it. You mentioned
I think Theegala, for what it's worth, is going to be way lower owned than Akshay. So I actually like the Theegala play better, to be honest with you.
Akshay's on the most tips.
Yep.
Yeah, Akshay is.
So
I'm not sure if you guys mentioned his name. I didn't hear it. But what about Taylor Pendrith this week? I kind of I wrote down 25 names to play, and so far I've got 10 names with an extra star next to it that I'm trying to get information on. I kind of am intrigued by Taylor Pendrith this week.
Great course history, just has been brutal this year so far. I love the guy too.
So what's more important? Current form or course history? This is a no-cut event, so they've got 3 of the 4 rounds here. He's got 3 rounds to get it right.
How much does course history our bad course history or good course history, necessarily play a part this year because they're only using 2 courses instead of going to, the 3 course format. You're getting, just 1 course for 3 out of the 4 rounds.
Yeah, good point.
I guess there's something to that. I mean, I think it's been 2 years now that they've gone to the 2 course rotation versus 3. So we've got 2 years of that information, but I'm not sure. Maybe there's something to that. All right, 9K. I think there's or 6K. I think there's a couple guys you can play even in the 6K. I think Jason, you mentioned his name already, and that's Jake Bridgman. Yeah. I think you could play Bridgman. I think there's a bunch of names down here, Jason. Especially if you're playing Scottie. Are there any names outside of Bridgman you like down here, or are you really zoned in on him?
Bridgman and then Michael Kim are my 2 favorites. Michael Kim looked really good last week, so I like him a lot too. I'm afraid his ownership's going to get really high. That's the one thing. Denny's another one, but I think it's the same thing. I think you're hearing him on every show, so I think his ownership's going to be really high too. So I would say Bridgman's my favorite, and then Michael Kim's my second.
I'm going to throw a name out there real quick before anybody else steals this one here. Fantastic course history. He's won at this course before. Got a boatload of top 10s and whatnot. His recent form, he missed the cut last week at Waste Management, but he had an 8th at the Amex earlier this year. So he's playing decently, puts the ball great always, no matter where he's at. And he's normally a very good iron player. Hasn't been the last 2 weeks, but Tom Hoge at 6,500, I think it's a really strong play this week. I think you can get some, really good leverage on your lineups with Tom Hoge this week. So that's a name on top of Kim and Bridgman that I'm really zoned in on. Steven.
I feel like, this is the range where you can find a lot of your, short course specialists, your, positional golfers, guys who aren't going to try and overpower the course. I'm gonna go back to him. He was my guy last year. So I'm going, this is the first, event I'm going to. I'm going with Emiliano Grillo.
Oh, I thought you were going
to no, he's another one though, but I feel like his ownership is going to be high because he's one of those guys who is, looking to elevate his status for the year. There's a few guys in this range who, if you're just looking for guys who are, trying to, they'll have next week as well, some of these guys to, have another crack at trying to elevate their status. But, Matt McCarty, Patrick Rogers, he was in the 7K range, Nap, but Hitsune, he's another guy who I just feel like, a lot of people saw him this last weekend and the success that he had. And for anyone who's trying to get Scottie in their lineups, he's gonna I feel like gonna be a fairly popular name.
If Steve says, sorry to interrupt you, but if Steve says play Grillo, play Grillo. That's
exactly.
What I've learned.
You're getting 4 rounds of him. This is the first time that I feel comfortable, throwing his name out there. The guts talking.
You've been patient and waited for the moment to say Grillo because you wanted to hear me say Emiliano, and he's only 6,200. Yeah. I think it's so sick that he's so cheap too because he's won how many times, and he's got good course history. Yeah, man. I mean, you can convince me on Emiliano Grillo for sure. You absolutely can. We'll throw 2 more names out there: McGreevy at 6,500 and Fox at 6,400. 2 more names that if you need to dip down here, you can. But honestly, I mean, if you're not playing Scottie, you don't need to dip down here, do you? You can, in a no-cut event, you can zone in on 10 or 12 guys and just really overload on 10 or 12 great plays this week, right?
And that's the thing, too. The 7K is so loaded that if you're, like you said, if you're not playing Scottie, you don't need to go in the 6Ks. The 7Ks are, you have guys that are legitimate, like, proven winners, Sepp Straka and guys like that can win on the PGA Tour. So, yeah, I agree.
I think that's some interesting stuff there. All right, so let's get into our yearly contests here. Jason won last week, getting back on the winning streak. It's now 3-1. Jason and me, Steve still MIA from the DFS weekly contest winning circle, and obviously Rashad. No offense, Rashad. Yeah, you didn't have a good week last week with your lineup picks. The one and dones. I'm closing the gap a little bit on Jason in second place. Steven is still way out in front. That is where we're at. with that there. So
Why do Phil's numbers look like they're so big? He make this
the
graphic?
twos. The
Oh,
twos.
twos.
Got a lot of twos up there.
My number's bigger than yours, okay? This is not a who's is bigger competition, okay? But mine's always bigger.
I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, let's get on track here.
Oh,
So, Jason, you won. What's the order this week?
my man Steve's going to go first. You're going to go second. I'm going to go third.
I will continue to lose as long as he keeps putting me in the middle spot. It's the worst spot to pick in a snake draft. So,
All
Steven,
right. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to go with my guy. I'm going to go with Hovland off the bat.
I thought you were going to say Grillo.
I might take Grillo.
I was like, that was ballsy.
Yeah. I'm actually, because I need at least one lineup with him, and I don't know when I build my 20 max. I put this in a single entry event. So I might make this my one Scottie Scheffler event. I'm going to go with Scottie with my first pick. And I have not done a test Scottie lineup yet, so I don't know how this is going to play out.
All right. I'm going to go.
At least I know Rashad's watching. I call him out, and he comments right away.
I'm going to go Straka.
Okay.
I want him on my team. And then I'm going to go with – who do I want at the top? I wanted Hovland. I'm going to go – I'll go Henley.
I like the Henley play for sure. I need to dip into the 6K range today. I went with Scottie. Should I go, Jason? Should I go with Emiliano Grillo just to be that guy? Should I?
I feel if Steve says he's going to be good, he's probably going to top 5. So.
You're going to win.
I'm
You're ready to win
Tom
this
Hoagie.
week.
I'm going to take Tom Hoagie instead.
Famous
Is that to tease you a little bit, Steven?
Famous last words. I'm going to take Tom Hoagie instead.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Shane Lowry.
Good pick. Sounded like a question.
And where is he at? And Bobby Mack.
Bobby Mack.
Steve's team is going to be elite if it gets windy.
I love Bobby Mack this week.
If it gets windy, Steve's winning by $1 million this week.
Yeah. Is he? Is he? Because with my next pick, you know what? F it. I'm going to go with Grillo with my next pick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Phil likes a little Grillo pickles on his hoagies.
Grillo pickles on my hoagie, okay? Scottie on his hoagie likes some Grillo pickles, you know?
I'm going to go with my man, Siwoo.
Woo!
And then I'm going to go with Gotterup, too. I'm going heavy.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very interesting little start there. All right, with my next pick, I think we will dig into the I don't know what this is going to put me at left. I think we're going to go Jason Day with my next pick.
J-Day. Good pick.
J-Day.
All right. I'm going to go with Berger.
It's a good pick. Really good pick.
And where's he at? I talked about I'm going to go with Aaron Rye.
You guys are picking each other's loves.
I know. Really,
it's tough
really.
to see.
Putting two gloves on this weekend.
Details here on where I can go. Man, I don't like that. You know what? I like that. We'll do that. I don't really want 3 6K guys in a lineup here, but the way I went with Scheffler and Day, I'm kind of putting myself in a really tough spot here. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go with Jacob Bridgman and go with 3 6K guys.
I'm gonna go Michael Kim.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go Pearson Cootie with my last pick.
All right, so that puts me. I'm gonna do the rare thing and leave 0 on the table. I'm gonna go Jake Knapp with my last pick. Which I hate leaving 0 on the table, but
why?
I don't know. I think it just gives you more of an opportunity to be duplicated by somebody else. So less likely. Statistically, the middle pick has the best odds in fantasy draft. This is not.
I've heard that before.
I know that's true. It just does not work.
It is true, but I think that's for like a 10-person or 12-person draft.
Not it's a 3-person thing here. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. All right, Jason or Steven, your last pick.
Who'd you pick? Sorry.
I went with Napster.
Oh,
my last.
Napster.
I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna go with Patrick Cantlay.
Your lineup was great till you picked Cantlay.
I know. I know.
There's no missed cut, but he's going to miss the cut somehow just because of that. I think there's some. Actually, I think we showed the ability to build. I mean, Jason with multiple guys in the 9K. You know, me with Scotty. You with a bunch of really interesting names. I love your Lowry, Mac Hovland start. I think there's some really good, strong lineups there. But when it gets down to it, it's time for the one and done.
You're going first.
I got to go first here. I'm normally prepared on the one and done. I do not have prepared. Give me a second here. Who did I take so far? I had Fitz, Clark, and Berger.
And somebody else. There's 4 weeks.
What's that?
There's 4 weeks. You've taken.
I had Nico on the first week too.
Echeverria.
Yeah,
Nico, Berger, Clark, and Fitz.
All right, I'm gonna go with Jason Day as my one and done this week. I do have a Jason Day 46-1 bet.
So do I.
I love Jason Day this week.
I'm gonna go Henley.
Yeah, it's a good pick too. Steven Fuentes.
I'm gonna go with Berger.
I went with Berger in this last year, and it didn't work out for me. So, yeah. When do we? By the way, I want to say that I was looking at my picks and my bets and stuff from last year, and obviously one of the top tier golfers that's missing and has been missing all year, Justin Thomas, is still out this week again.
Cleared for golf activities today.
I was just going to ask, have we got an update on what and when Justin Thomas will be returning?
I'm not sure what that means in terms of coming back, but cleared for golf activities probably sounds like at least a month away, I would imagine.
Okay, all right. I mean, I hate Justin Thomas. Like, he's like a boring guy, whatever. Let me tell you something. I miss him. What's up, Steven?
Players.
Maybe at the Players?
Really good call, actually.
The Players?
That's a great spot. You know, that's a tough spot.
It is a tough spot.
That's a tough track to make it your first event.
First time you play golf since September.
Yeah. All right. Let me get into my bets real quick. I got Siwoo Kim 25-1 this week. I got Jake Knapp at I think that says 38-1, or does that say 48-1? I don't remember. Jason Day at 46-1. I got Pearson Coody at, can't read that either, 65-1. And then I do have, I'm not going to play him in DFS, but I kind of am intrigued by Tommy Fleetwood in a boomer bust situation. His first time back on the PGA Tour since winning the Tour Championship. It wouldn't shock me. I doubt he wins, but I don't know if we get 28-1 Tommy Fleetwood. I thought his number, I mean, he's the third priced golfer on DFS, but he was like the 10th or 15th priced golfer on odds. I think a 28-1 Tommy Fleetwood number was really intriguing to me. They're my bets. I've got them all matched with top 10s and top 20s, which I did for the first time last week. And while I didn't hit an outright, because so many of my outright picks last week were so close to the leaderboard, I turned a profit last week because of betting all my outrights top 10 and top 20. I think 3 of my outrights finished in the top 10 and 2 more finished in the top 20 as well. So that's what I got this week on the betting card. Jason?
I have Scheffler to win plus Burns top 10, 18-1. I have Hovland 27-1, Day 46, Burns 56, Straka 63, which seems disrespectful to him.
So disrespectful.
And then Hoagie at 270-1. I don't hate the bid at 270 or the bet at 270.
I got $3 left in my budget this week betting wise for outrights, and I have Tagala at 140-1 as one of those written down. But it's I'm really saving to kind of get some idea on JJ Spawn, because I don't know what he's at right now, but he opened the week JJ Spawn at 46-1, and I love that idea. I would love to lay those $3 on him, but I don't know why I withdrew. So until I get more information on that, I'm saving those last $3 to see what I got. Steven, what's your outright card look like this week?
Before I say it, I just did this one. Does this one tickle your fancy at all? You talked about Tommy Fleetwood. If you do a Scottie winner in a Tommy top 5 plus 2052.
I'm sorry, what was the number? 2052?
Yeah.
I don't hate that at all.
I love, you know what? Is that on DraftKings number wise?
Yeah.
That might be where I go and throw my $3 after this show. Like that's
like if you want to do Fleetwood,
yeah,
and you don't think he's going to win, but the guy lives in the top 5.
I love that.
Whenever
and he had a lot of top 5s on the DP tour in the fall. I love those numbers right there. That's a fantastic pull, Steve. It's a good one. What's the rest of your card look like? Where's that on your card now?
No, yeah, it's gonna be in a second. Yeah, I got
Siwoo. I love it.
Siwoo 25-1, Hovland 27-1, Bobby Mack 38-1, Shane 64-1, and Berger 65-1.
I like that. I like that there. Sorry, I'm sidetracked. I'm trying to log into DraftKings Sportsbook. Before those numbers change right there. Real quick with the poll question, 50% voted absolutely, 37% or 33% said not even close, 17% said it's close, more like top 10 than top 5. Pebble Beach, top 5 golf courses in America. Jason, where would you put it in the pantheon of, not for tournament golf, just in legendary status? You got Augusta. Honestly, you got Torrey Pines and Pebble Beach on those, West Coast there. Spyglass is a pretty well-respected course as well. You got Scottsdale. You got a lot of great courses out there. Where do you rank Pebble Beach?
I would say 5 to 10. And I feel like that's a cop-out, but I feel like I just don't like short courses. Obviously, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place, beautiful course, but I would say 5 to 10.
Okay. Steven, where do you put Pebble Beach?
I'm going to go in the 5-6. Right. I just think you think about the names that come out celebrity wise, for this event, you think about the scenery and all those sort of things that bring Pebble Beach. And now it being a signature event where you have what I wrote it down, 41 of the top 50 golfers are here this week, so I think there's a reason why Rory, Shane, Tommy, those guys made sure that this was their first one, on this side of the pond, this season. So 5-6 for me right there. So if it's not top 5, it's honorable mention, right? So honorable mention.
I mean,
that's
to me, when I think the way I do it, it's I always think about if I got the opportunity to play an elite course, like which course would you want to play? I'd want to play St. Andrews, but that's not on continental U.S. and it says U.S. I want to play Augusta.
Obviously.
I want to play, Sawgrass just because of 17. But when I think of iconic courses and iconic holes, I think of the stretch along the water, 17, 18. And I think of the short par 3 going at the water right there.
Rashad's comment is legendary.
It's not. I bet you he was the first one that said voted not even close. Knowing him. Sorry, I was distracted. I did just get my bet in, just so you know, Steven. 2052. Scotty win, Fleetwood 5.
There it is.
Love it. It's locked in. $3. It's not much, but it's something right there. I just think of courses in the U.S. that I'd want to play that I've never played before. I think it's in the top 5 for me. It might be right at number 5. And maybe because my uncle got to play Pebble Beach in the late 90s, and he's told me stories about his time playing Pebble Beach that it kind of, I feel like I almost played there. You know what I mean? So, living through him gave me that I want to do it just like he did.
And I think outside of we're kind of golf sickos. I feel like we kind of fit in the mold of the golf sickos. I feel like the casual fan or just like a normal golf fan, I think every single fan in America is thinking of Pebble Beach in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the first 2 or 3 courses that you think of, I would imagine.
Yeah, Rashad's saying second behind Augusta. Yeah, I mean, hold on. Are you talking about Pebble or are you talking about Craig Ranch behind Augusta? I'm not sure which one he's talking about right now.
I always think of, yeah.
It's one of the courses where you don't want to have a drink, while playing because you're soaking in each hole, right? You want to have you go out if you go out to play around at a course like this, you're showing the utmost respect. You are the way you dress, everything, it's like going to an award show, essentially for golf, but what about if we're ranking top holes, top holes in golf, right? It's got to be the 19th hole, right? It's got to be in the top 10 somewhere, right?
Yeah, Mister, you could definitely be my caddy at Augusta. You know what I think about, and this, I don't even remember the full story here. So I have a friend who owns a car dealership. He's always been your dealer, Steve, even if you didn't know it. All right, he's a very close personal friend of mine. He owns Drive David. It's a big Dodge. He's on all the news channels, always talking, business and stuff like that. He's become pretty famous over the last couple of years because he fell asleep courtside at Sixers game. I don't know if you know that, Steve. Anyway, he got picked because of his relationship with Chrysler Dodge. He got to play in, I forget which event it was, in a Pro-Am. It was in the middle of the summer years ago. And because he got to tee it up, and I don't even remember which pro golfer he teed up with as his partner at the Pro-Am, he actually spent money to have a professional photographer follow him around on the course. You know what I mean? Because he's like, I'm playing on the pros. I'm playing in a Pro-Am event with golfers. I want this documented. Like you're saying, you don't want to drink. You want to soak it in. Like, when I think of what he did there, if I had to think, if I was spending $1,000 to play a round of golf at a legendary course, I'm going to spend extra money to have a photographer document it for me. Pebble Beach is one of those courses I would spend that extra money on. Like, when I think of his story, Pebble Beach it would be Augusta, it would be Pebble Beach, it would be St. Andrews, it would be Sawgrass. They would be the places. So that's just my thoughts on it right there.
I take a gummy instead of taking a drink. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd waste a gummy. I don't want to ruin that experience by taking a gummy. I don't want to miss a moment of it. That's just me. Anyway, guys, we got to wrap this up. If you guys have been watching this on replay, please like, subscribe, drop your comments. Another fun episode. I don't know what's going on. Twitter, we didn't really get much on Twitter. It's not even showing up on Twitter right now. But if you're watching this, guys, please drop your comments, your likes, your shares, subscribes. We'll be back next week with another elevated event, Genesis, back at Riviera. Jason, you are always the best with shirts. I mean, first the
shirt game is great.
Your shirt game is better than your DFS game. I'm just gonna.
And just life in general. Yep.
I thumbed you down too. All right, TMC.
Whoa.
He's just a chatterbox. He's disappointed that Buffalo has as many Super Bowl championships as the Detroit Lions. So.
Wow.
Oh man, I don't know about you guys. I had a very profitable Super Bowl, so on the betting sites because AJ Barner first touchdown covered all my bets plus some. So anyway.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. With that being said, guys, we're gonna wrap this baby up. Everybody have a great night. Everybody have a great week. Like Mista says, let's make some money this week, guys. Everybody have a good one. For Jason Sullivan, for Soldier Steve, I'm Phil Stifle. Let's go. Bubbles up.